It's Mike from Drive80.com, and today we're going to be focusing on how to make After Effects non-scary. Today we will be talking about the Scale tool. So to start, we're going to hit Q to draw a box. Make sure you're selected in here. Hit Q to get this rectangle shape up here. If you keep hitting Q, it'll give you different shapes, but we want to work with that. And you're going to go on the stage, or go in the composition, I'm sorry, I'm going to drag it. Now, if I hold down shift, it will make it a square. If I don't, it'll just give me free range, but I want it to be a square. So I'm going to draw a square. I'll make this center point here, go in the middle, so I'm going to hit Y, I'm going to hit Command, and then I'm going to center it. Where'd you go? These are my FX, blah, 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 blah. There we go. And because it's aligning to the composition, it's going to center it exactly in the middle. Great. So today we're talking about the scale tool. If I hit S, get out of the graph editor, there we go. If I hit S, we got the scale function or scale transform thingamabobber right there. If I so now this here is the lock. Now if this is locked, that means if I increase the width, it will increase the height. If I increase the height, it'll increase the width. If I shrink the height, it'll shrink the width. If I unlock these and I increase the width, it'll increase the width on its own. If I increase the height, or increase the height, it'll increase it. If I shrink it, it'll shrink it. So it's kind of cool. You can already start to see what things you can do with this. Where it came out of nowhere, maybe it was like, "Hi, I'm talking to you with my mouth like box thing." Yeah, and that's one way. It's one way you can use After Effects. Just have a line here, and you can record yourself talking, and then you can just have it just match your voice. So if I was talking, it'd be like, "Hey, this is my After Effects tutorial, and this is my face doing this, or my mouth. Yay. That's all I do is I'm a box." Okay. So let's make this 0, 0, and let's also lock it. All right, we're going to start there. And to start, we're going to make a keyframe, so I can either hit this clock right here, or I can hit Option S. And I'm jumping forward as if you watched my previous videos up to this point, and those videos should basically have gone over all of this stuff. If not, um, then I apologize if you're losing track, because I am supposed to be making this non-scary. So if I'm making it scary, then I've failed you, and I apologize. But I'm going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to focus on the scale tool. So I'm going to hit S to make sure, okay, we are here. I'm going to hit it again. All right, we got the scale. We're going to increase the size here, and by doing that, I just move our time indicator over, and then I'm going to increase either or of these. And then I'm going to have that stay there, so I'm going to put another keyframe by hitting this diamond, or I'm going to hit Option S, and there it is. And then I'm going to have it scale down to, let's see, 20%. And if I have my work area built to here, then I'm going to hit Control 0, and it's going to render out. It's going to grow and then shrink, and then it's going to grow and then it's going to shrink. If I want this to loop, it's going to look a little weird, so if I hit N to close my work area and I render this, it's just going to have a hard jump back to the beginning, right? So to make that, let's say if this was the video I was going to do, I'd probably want to make this match exactly where it started, which was 100. If that was the case, I'd go here, I hit 100, and that would be it. Or if there was no keyframe there, I would select this first one, hit Control C, and then hit Control V. Now, it might have looked weird that I did that and then pasted here, and I was my cursor was here. That's because wherever your time indicator is where things are going to be pasted. Okay, so if I was here and if I hit Command V, it pasted there. Hopefully that makes sense. And if I am out here and if I hit Control 0, it's going to jump this into here because this is where I'm telling it I just want to see. So this kind of looks like it's like almost like a heart. So you could think of this as like a heartbeat in an animation, and it could keep doing that, and you could just have it keep repeating like that until it maybe would stop. So in that case, if it was going to do that, we already know that this point is what this point is. So if we wanted to mimic that, we can Control C these three dots, and we can kind of eyeball it a little bit and say, like, I think the spacing here would match this. And I hit V. So basically what it's saying is here to here is the same percentage. And this is where, and so from here to here, it's growing up to 147. So if this is the same thing as this, then this here to here is basically there to there. and that's why it'll loop and then back down. So if I hit N, to close that off, it's going to look like it's doing the same thing. There you go. And then we can mess with the life of this thing by selecting all of them, or we can just hit scale right here. Again, don't hit the clock because it would get rid of all these keyframes. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to do this again. I'm going to go and click this. Now we've got all these, but we're not selected, so I'm going to hit scale, and it's going to select all these points. And I'm going to increase this so I can see it, and it's too linear. It's like, I'm just going to be this straightforward, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to hit right here the easy ease, and it's going to give it a little bit of like slow to fast to slow, but give it a little bit of life in doing that. And I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to just render this to show you what I mean. And now you'll see it looks just a little bit more alive. And you can play with that as well. So I hit minus sign and kind of just like screw with this a little bit. And then, maybe I don't want it to look exactly perfect. So I'll just bring this one out a little bit. Maybe this is out a little bit. Close this off here. And then I'm going to preview it and see how that works. So yeah, so that's how it would look. So it just has like a little bit more life to it. So let's move this over here, and let's make a duplicate, which is Command D, and I'm going to go, I'm going to hit Command D, and it's going to make another one of the layers here, and I'm going to drag this down, and I'm going to hit S so I can see all the things it's doing. And maybe I'm just going to have these just be a little bit different. So I'm going to move their time indicators, these keyframes around just a little bit. But it will start and end the same time, even though it looks like one of them is going to win the race. And you'll see that they will stop at the same time. But even though this one is coming a little faster here, and the bottom one's a little slower, or the top one's a little slower, let's see here. Well, the top one already started shrinking, and then the bottom one's catching up to it. It's going to go fast. They still will stop exactly at the same time, even though it looks like they're slightly one's going to win. But let's hit Command 0, Control 0. There you go. So there'll be a bunch of cool stuff you can do with this. Or let's say you're going to fill the screen with a bunch of boxes. Well, let's delete this, and we'll move this one over here. And let's just delete all this stuff. Move in. And let's go back down. Let's see it. At that point, it would want to be that big, so we're going to hit Option S. But in the beginning, we want it to be zeroed out because we want it to be coming from nowhere. And that means it's going to increase here. So in that sense, I'm going to grab these, give it a little bit of life, and ease it in. Maybe take a little bit longer. There we go. And I hit Shift F3 to get out of that. It might be a little bit different on your computer. Control 0, we'll see what this looks like when it's growing. Alright, so that's really slow and kind of boring. So I'm going to close this. If I just select that and move it left, it's going to take all the keyframes with it. But if I hold Option and drag it left, it's going to make it, it's going to constrain the left to the right. So I'm going to hit N here, hit Control 0, and there's the box growing. Now let's say I want all this whole area to look like it's filling with white. I can just duplicate this box, Command D. I can drag it over, maybe where it's here, hit it again, drag it over a little bit. Yeah, we can mess with the scale a little bit. Let's do Command D. Let's drag this one. Nope, didn't do it. Command D, you'll know that it duplicated it because it had to do that there. And actually, before we do that, let's just control this thing to scale. So hit S, zoom in, hit J, good to go backwards, and it'll just select the keyframe. I'm going to increase this a little bit. Alright, so there's that one. And so it's like these boxes are all coming at the same time, and it's filling it with white. And I'm going to hit Command D. I'm going to move this guy down here. Hit Command D again. Oops. Command D. Come on, buddy. There we go. Command D and Command D again. So this whole screen is now going to fill with white in that time. So it goes blue to white. There we go. So that's kind of cool. It's a little effect you can do. But you can also, if you grabbed all of them and hit S, or hit S again, you'll see that you have all of these keyframes. So now maybe you can this is where time is going to be a factor. You can mess with the time of this. So if I'm scrolling up and down, I'm like, okay, well, let's see, this one I'm just going to take a little bit longer. This one's going to go on really fast. This one's going to take a little bit less. This one's going to be a little bit less. This one's super fast. This one's going to go here. And you're going to see, like, here, there's a little bit of a lag between these. And I'm going to go here. So if I render this, it's going to look like it's going to make that effect. So which is kind of cool. It's a little different. And yeah, so that's one fun thing you can do with that. Let me get rid of all these. Delete them. And let's bring this back to the middle. So yeah, so that is the scale tool. I'm trying to think if I didn't really think of anything else. We unlock this. Even at this point, we can change this to maybe just be that, and then it will go back down to the constraint where it was here. So even if it's not constrained, if you unconstrain it or unlock it, you have you have full access. But at this point, if I were to lock it and say, oh, okay, it's not going to change that here. Oh, actually, it did. Okay. No, it didn't. It kept it 0, 0, but it came up, the width came like that, and then it went back to square. So at that point, though, if I were to change anything, it would keep those coordinates, based on what this was in the math, the difference here. But if I go here, it'll bring it back to be the same width and height. Hopefully that makes sense. It's maybe slightly confusing, but just if you, yeah, I don't kind of lost a train of thought there, but yeah. So if I just render that and play it, you'll see that it's kind of making that effect. If I want to speed it up, I select all of these, and if I hold Option and I drag the furthest one on the right and I hit Control 0, it's going to make it look like this weird wall. There we go. And if I want to make it look like it was talking, I'm going to delete all these. I'm going to go to the beginning. I'm going to unclick this, and we're just going to deal with the height. So I'm going to make the height to be, let's say, 0. And I'm going to make sure that there's a keyframe there by hitting, oops, no, that was the wrong one. S. There we go. I hit Option S, and I'm going to increase the height to make it look like a mouth. Maybe come down to 20, back up to, let's say, 40, and then maybe up a little bit more, and then down to like 10. Let's see what this looks like. All right, so there we go. It's kind of like if I'm talking, mouth is moving, that's like one thing you can do. You could also, again, give it the graph indicator, graph tool, and you can give it some life, go back and hit Control 0, and there it is. It is talking again, talking like this. There you go. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, comment in the comment box. It's either above or below this video, depending on where I have it. So I typically put these on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. I haven't decided where this will be, but this is my email, mike@drive80.com. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Also comment wherever their comment section is. And yeah, hopefully that was it.